What should the Alabama Crimson Tide do in the transfer portal? It's that time of year where essentially everybody in college football is a free agent. Whether you're a coach having to re-recruit your roster or you're a player wanting to go test the waters, maybe get some better NIL package for yourself. Like now, in today's age of college football, player mobility has never been more relevant. So for the Alabama Crimson Tide, this year was below what you're used to. Right? For Nick Saban and company, every single year it's, okay, we're going to get to Atlanta, play for an SEC title. If we don't win it, maybe we still have a chance to get to the college football playoff. And that wasn't the case this year. A couple of losses already. And still a season that a lot of programs will give their left arm and a kicker for. But if you're Alabama, the standard is just a little bit higher. So in this beautiful thing of portal season, what should Alabama do? What position groups do they need to address? I got 3 of them. And then at the end of this thing, I'm going to tell you why, if you're a transfer, you go to Alabama. First thing I'm looking at, if you're a transfer I'll rephrase that. First thing I'm looking at, if you're Alabama, you're looking for a transfer, let's take a look at the secondary. Because think about the games that Alabama lost this year, or maybe just looked unimpressive. The game against Tennessee, everybody knows it. There was some attributes lacking in the secondary, one of which being speed. Jalen Hyatt just kind of laced him up and went for 5 touchdowns that day because of how quick he is. There was nobody in the Alabama secondary that could track with him. For Alabama to get back to where they're used to being, competing for national titles, winning the SEC, there needs to be an upgrade in athleticism and speed on the back end. Now, in addition to that, I would love to see there be some more experience, or at least a proven resume in whoever they add, in playing man coverage. Because the biggest Achilles heel that I saw outside of that speed factor was playing the football in the air whenever you were in man coverage for Alabama. Time after time, you saw teams like Texas, Tennessee, like I already mentioned. LSU had a couple plays go their way. A&M, you put the ball up, and Alabama is running stride for stride, and for whatever reason, that defensive back starts to panic, tug some jersey, get too physical, just not have some composure playing man coverage. I don't know if that's experience. I don't know if that's personnel specific, but there needs to be upgrades in that department for Alabama. They've got a lot of talent already in that room. At the very least, maybe you bring somebody in that has experience and can push the competition in that room. Add a level of security in just playing man coverage. At the end of the day, the defensive back room at Alabama needs to be upgraded because everybody in Tuscaloosa will tell you it has been below the standard in terms of the product they've put on the field this past season. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, we would love to have you at the party. College football content every single day on this channel. It's portal season. We're going to have you covered for everything going on in the wild world that is the transfer portal in college football, so make sure you're locked and loaded with us. Don't want to miss a thing. Also, follow me on the social channels, at JD Piquel on Twitter and on Instagram. Okay, so you look in the secondary in the transfer portal market. Where else are you looking at for Alabama? One place that I'm looking is the wide receiver room. There needs to be some adjustments, some upgrades at the wide receiver position. Because, again, think back to what we know about Alabama. When they're successful, they have that just alpha dog on the outside. Whether it's Henry Ruggs, whether it's Jameson Williams. Successful Alabama teams have a guy that can just pop the top on a defense. And they've got a lot of talent in that room. I think Isaiah Bond is going to be a dude for them next year. Flashed many times this year. I think his best football is obviously ahead of him, but let's add somebody else to that room. Let's take another receiver to be able to bring that same kind of element. As more names get into the portal, we're going to do more videos on specifically who we think Alabama should target. But from a broad strokes perspective, there needs to be some sort of big play upgrade for Alabama, be able to separate. Because Bryce Young, as good as he is, the wide receiver play this past year just wasn't enough to get the offense moving forward. Jahmyr Gibbs is a baller. The offensive line is really solid. And there was so much built out for the wide receiver room to be the Achilles heel of the offense. You're just, as an Alabama fan, saying, what are we doing here? We have to be better. We're Alabama. We can't afford. We are so good that we don't need to sacrifice a guy like Bryce Young. Bryce Young's a guy that should be playing for multiple national titles, and he's going to be sitting at home this year when that whole thing happens. I think a lot of that is due to the lack thereof in production at wide receiver. So Alabama, let's go in the portal, get ourselves some dogs at receiver. Finally, talking about Bryce Young and the quarterback room. Bryce Young, just about everybody would assume, is going to go play his football on Sundays now, meaning he's not going to be playing for Alabama next year. And so my question for you is, if you're an Alabama fan, do you believe that Jalen Milroe or Ty Simpson is the guy to lead you to a national title? If you do, that's great. More power to you. My feel is you probably need somebody else with a little more experience, a little more oomph to lead that program forward. Because like we said, so much talent across the board, across that roster. If you play a quarterback that can't get it to those guys, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. So getting an upgrade at quarterback, getting someone who can, again, at the very least, push the room, push the competition level in that room. You don't come to Alabama knowing you're going to be a day one starter, but you come to Alabama because Nick Saban says, hey, you have a chance. Come here, have a chance to compete and help our football team. That's what I think you would benefit from in the portal for Alabama. So that's great. Defensive back, wide receiver, quarterback, 3 areas, in my opinion, of need for Alabama. But why do you come to Alabama? Couple of reasons. First of which being NIL. That's the thing that moves the needle for a lot of these guys these days, and that's kind of the world we're living in. And the reason why Alabama will be competitive in the NIL field is because NIL at the very core comes down to people within that program and around that program caring about the team. So boosters and fans care about Alabama football a whole lot. Okay, so they're going to be competitive. They're going to have the resources, the structure to win a lot of these NIL battles, if you will. Now, on top of that, when you talk about why coming to Bama, a lot of people say the same thing. I wanted to play for the GOAT. I wanted to be around Nick Saban. I wanted to see how he did things. I want to prepare myself for the next level. That's a very real thing, because at Alabama, there have been multiple examples of having one good year in changing your professional stock. Just ask Jamison Williams. Came from Ohio State, had 22 receptions on his career, came to Bama, had a phenomenal season with Bryce Young, and guess what? He was a top 15 pick. That's the kind of Bama impact you can have. That's why you come to Alabama. Yes, to do great things at the college level and get some, NIL support and things like that, but what it does for your NFL stock, I don't think there's a way to overstate how much that can help you. One good year at Bama changes the rest of your life. So for Alabama, go get you a DB, get you a wide receiver, get you a quarterback, and sell them on the Bama vision. Sell them on what they can be if they decide to sign up and play for Nick Saban. This has been The Hard Count. I'm JD Pickell. We do content here every single day on The Hard Count on the On3 YouTube channel. I'm telling you, we want you at the party. We have a good time. We're live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 Central, 2 Eastern. Get the live chat going. It's the People Show. So everything that you know and that you love about college football, it happens here every single day. Jack Terry doing the heavy lifting. This is your show. We're going to keep the party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.